Well, the excitement behind a possible John Frusciante Signature Stratocaster from Fender, of course based around his 1962 Strat, is about to get a little bit more interesting and a little bit more exciting. I'm very pumped to share with you all, because now we might know exactly what level of build we are looking at for this potential guitar between John and Fender, as well, of course, with that, some details on the pricing and what we can expect in terms of specifications for the guitar. So we're going to get right on into that, but the very first thing I need to touch on is that the day this video is going live, actually this morning of me recording this video, I've already uploaded one video discussing this replica of John's 62 Stratocaster that we've seen him playing again. It's been about 8 to 9 months since we last saw him actually road testing one of these guitars, and he's playing a new one right now. That video is going to be linked in the description down below and carded, and if you haven't watched it yet, please go give it a watch after you're done watching this one, because there's a lot of theories and key points in that video that are going to still be relevant after this one. But thanks to this new information that we know, I wanted to share with you all and get it uploaded as quickly as possible. So hey, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, especially for me waking up and recording this video for you all after watching the Florida Panthers and Carolina Hurricanes game almost go to fifth overtime last night.
Sergei Bobrovsky!
I'm Canadian. Hockey's kind of like my religion, so I've had to make sure I stay up and watch it, but I'm pretty tired. So, alright, let's get into it here. So the main detail for today's video actually revolves around this image that I shared with you all in the original, or the first video that went out today, that was posted from JFGear, one of my friends on Instagram. And this shot shows Henry, John's guitar tech, actually pushing a cart with 6 boxes of guitars from Fender, and he was giving them to John just before their show in San Diego. Now, I was discussing with a few of my friends the possibility of what level of guitar we were going to see, and I've kind of discussed how the reliquware on the guitar that we see John using live isn't custom shop level. It's just not. If I got a custom shop guitar that looked like that, I would be returning it, because for the money, that is not what you'd expect from the amazing, incredible team at the Fender Custom Shop, that's for sure. And in discussing the image of Henry with these 6 guitars from Fender, it kind of got brought up that those do not look like custom shop boxes that you would get a custom shop guitar shipped in from one of those factories. Then it actually became apparent that, okay, well, it's not a custom shop box or even a made in USA box, of course, from those locations. It actually appears to be a box that you'd expect a guitar that's made in Mexico from that factory to actually be shipped in. So I reached out to a friend of mine who works at a music store who would know what boxes come from what specifications from Fender, and based on this image, he was able to pretty much confirm that yes, those are boxes that a made in Mexico guitar from Fender would get shipped in. Meaning that if these are in fact prototypes of an upcoming signature model that John was taking a look at before a show, either to have, especially something that's time sensitive, because that's what I'm gathering, if Henry's giving him 6 guitars from Fender on tour like that before a show, it must be some sort of time sensitive thing where either he's, you know, in the other video I theorized maybe, okay, he's got options 1 through 6, which body do you like better? Which reliquware above the pickguard do you like the best? Do you like the one on number 2 or number 3 better maybe? Or do you like the reliquware on the forearm better on number 1, but then the reliquware above the pickguard on number 4 better? I don't know how this works. None of us have had the pleasure of obviously getting a guitar built from Fender, if that's actually what's going on here. But maybe one guitar he was testing out different necks on as well in combinations, and that's why there's 6 of them being sent. Or he was looking at 6 identical versions before giving final approval before they actually start building this thing officially. Who knows? But coming back around to these boxes, John, just due to the virtue of what we know of his guitars, he heavily prefers vintage instruments. He's not one that would go out on stage playing a made in Mexico level guitar. He just wouldn't. He's John Frusciante. He doesn't need to. He prefers vintage instruments, and that's what he's going to play. So I don't believe that that's what we're seeing here. Fender sending him some made in Mexico guitars for him to play. If Fender would send him something that they are currently producing, it would be custom shop level at the bare minimum, but I would just go ahead and assume anything he'd get would be master built level from Fender, essentially, unless it's something really wacky and like that one synth guitar he was using during the recording of Unlimited Love. I forget exactly what guitar that was, but there was a modern synth guitar that he was using in the studio a little bit. But besides something kind of weird and zany and one-off-ish kind of like that, he's not going to need 6 of something that Fender's sending him. So it makes a lot more sense, to me at least, that what we're seeing are prototypes getting delivered to John versus anything that he's just going to use. That's what I really believe is going on. Now let's bring it back around to me discussing how the guitar that we see John playing on stage, to me at least, does not look like a custom shop relic level. It just doesn't. And now that we see that, okay, Henry's bringing in some made in Mexico boxes, it makes a lot more sense that that relicware is a made in Mexico level relicware. I mean, if I got a guitar from Fender that was made in Mexico for the price of around 1,100, 1,200 Canadian, I'm assuming something-ish like that, I don't know exactly, but around that ballpark anyways, and it looked like that for a John Frusciante Signature, I would not be upset with that at all for what you pay. Give it some time, play it very hard, and give it its own wear from you yourself playing it, and it's going to look pretty good after not too long. As it stands on its own, I haven't experienced a lot of made in Mexico relic signature guitars in person, so I can't actually attest to what this thing is going to look like in person if it is in fact a made in Mexico guitar. But I assume if you put some of your own blood, sweat, and tears into the guitar as well and put some of your own wear into it, it definitely would look a lot more natural and a lot more realistic to something that you would expect from a higher level of build. But to me, it all kind of makes sense. We have made in Mexico guitars essentially getting delivered to John, 6 of them. We then have a guitar that he's road testing on stage for only 1 or 2 songs kind of a night. He doesn't perform it for the entire show. That's not really what's happening here. I think in Phoenix he only performed it for Snow. That was the only song that we saw him actually play this guitar on, and then he went and switched back to the usual suspects. And just looking at it as well, based on the relicware, it's not something you'd expect from custom shop. So if John was trying to replace the 62 in terms of what he uses live, which I just don't think he ever would, it doesn't make sense to me at all, but you'd expect it to look a lot closer and a lot better, to be honest, than that if he got someone who master built it. Now, for all intents and purposes, let's just pretend like a John Frusciante Signature Stratocaster from Fender is coming and it's going to be made in Mexico. That's going to be the level of build it is. What can we expect in terms of price and specifications for the guitar? Well, I think one of the best ways to look and try and get a glimpse into a potential future is going to be taking a look at Flea's own jazz bass that is made in Mexico. Now, this signature bass guitar, for starters, just bring up Sweetwater here, it is $1,549.99 USD. So something around that ballpark of $1,500 US, maybe $1,600 is what I would expect if they're going to make a John Frusciante Signature Strat that's made in Mexico. It's going to be priced around what Flea's jazz bass is. It's not going to be lower. I can't see that happening at all. It's probably going to be identical, if not a bit more for a guitar. That's what I'm thinking here, so that's what I'd expect around the ballpark for sure. If it gets announced, I'd expect something around there at least. Now, this jazz bass actually looks really good, especially the relicware, I think, for, again, what you're paying for overall. I think it does really look good. The finish especially, the shade of that shell pink looks really, really great. Now, moving down to the specifications here. So the body material is alder, and it does feature a road-worn nitro lacquer on it. You're not getting a poly finish on this guitar, you're getting nitro, which is probably the key thing here, because a poly Signature 62 Strat just is not gonna work, obviously, right? And Fender, even if they try to relic poly, it's not gonna look good, and especially it's not gonna wear correctly and how you'd want it to, when kind of making it look more like an actual 62 Strat. So expect to have a road-worn nitrocellulose lacquer finish, which is going to be a very great thing, especially for the money nowadays. Getting nitro at, just above $1,000, I think is a really awesome thing. Looking at probably maple for the neck as well. Okay, yeah, I had to go back and double check that fact, because in my mind I was like, I'm pretty sure John had his radius of the 62 Stratocaster changed from 7.25 to 9.5, and that is in fact what did happen. So in terms of a radius for the guitar, let's just assume they're going with the current specifications of the guitar. So I'd assume 9.5, which I know a lot of people would prefer over 7.25, even though it's not the original specifications of the guitar. And Flea's Jazz Bass does come with rosewood for the fretboard material. You're not getting Pau Ferrero, which is another plus, especially for the price point. I think getting rosewood is going to be a really great thing, and it just won't be the same vibe if you're getting Pau Ferrero and not actual rosewood. I think that's going to be really key there. You're getting a synthetic bone nut on the Flea bass, and I assume that's probably what you're going to be getting as well. Some custom built single coils for the guitar as well in terms of pickups, I would expect as well. Nothing too fancy.
No, nothing too fancy.
However, something just designed to kind of mimic the pickups that are in John Frusciante's 62 Stratocaster. Not as close, obviously, as a custom shop level, but nonetheless, you'll be getting some unique pickups with the guitar as well. And then probably a fancy gig bag, maybe a hard shell case as well. That's going to kind of round out, I think, the specifications that really matter more or less at this point. Looking at a made in Mexico road-worn nitrocellulose lacquer finish guitar. I mean, a hard shell case would be nice for the guitar. The Chris Shiflett Signature Telecaster that I have came with a beautiful hard shell case with this signature. Pretty largely printed across the case as well, and that'd be really nice to see something like that from John, maybe even just with the Red Hot Chili Peppers asterisk logo on it. That could be really sweet. Something just wishful thinking, I guess, just thinking of one of the guitars that I have that's made in Mexico and a signature artist build as well. But I think looking at the Flea's Jazz Bass is just going to give you your kind of best indication of what to expect. Nitro finish, which is fantastic, rosewood, and some custom spec'd pickups for the guitar. Again, probably in terms of radius, you're going to be looking at 9.5. I don't think they would stick with an original 7.25. If John changed the radius, they will go with what he changed it to and what he prefers, that's for sure. So there you guys go. I just really wanted to touch on this new detail about what possibly might be going on here, because I think it's really important and it's really fun to discuss, speculate, and try and build the evidence and figure out what is going on, because I know a lot of you are going to be really stoked that you might potentially getting a really awesome John Frusciante Signature guitar for around that $1,500 mark that, again, has nitro, rosewood, and some nice pickups in it. I think that's going to be really sweet, and this thing's going to sell absolutely well, if it is a thing. We don't know for sure, but it's just fun to speculate and chat with you all, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your comments down below. And again, you guys, please, if you enjoyed this video, if you're excited for possibly getting a John Frusciante Signature Stratocaster, hit the thumbs up button in case someone from Fender as well sees this too. And if it's not a thing, maybe they'll be like, well, everyone's talking about it and there's a lot of hype online. Maybe we should try and make this an actual reality. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I just really hope this happens. Just looking at Flea's Jazz Bass, I'm like, it looks really cool. And it's based off the one he used off of Stadium Arcadium and The Getaway, which Stadium Arcadium, my favorite Chili Peppers album by far. Yeah, if I ever needed a bass guitar, I'd probably buy this, to be honest. Or the Nate Mendel one, because I'm a massive Foo Fighters fan too. Probably be the two I choose between, but this shell pink, that's nitro, bit aged. It's really great looking. Anyways, enough rambling on. Take care, everyone. Thank you again so much for watching this video. Check out the other one I uploaded as well. Again, linked in the description down below. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Take care. Time to end this thing.